Hi everybody, welcome back to our Bible study. We are on Revelation chapter 12. So I'm not going to lie to you, Revelation chapter 12 can be a little bit of a tricky chapter. We are halfway through our Bible study. We're halfway through Revelation. We're on chapter 12, and we're also at the time period of halfway through the tribulation that is being prophesied. So you made it halfway through. You can do it. You can make it all the way to the end, I promise. Okay, so important thing to see here is actually in the first sentence in the book of Revelation chapter 12. I'm going to read it here. Now a great sign appeared in heaven. Okay, so this is important because some parts of Revelation should be taken literally. There are literal things that are going to happen. There's literally going to be an earthquake. There's literally going to be a temple, all of those things that we've talked about. But some things in Revelation are symbolic. So chapter 12 is an extremely symbolic chapter. We're going to be seeing three major characters who are described here: the nation of Israel, Jesus, and Satan. And this is not just talking about now at the time of the Great Tribulation. We're going to see who they were from all of time. So this is kind of like, we're going through, we're learning about the tribulation. And remember, we're seeing we're kind of like in a little interlude. And we've learned about Revelation chapter 10 was part of that interlude. We talked about the little book that we saw in chapter 10. That we saw in Daniel chapter 12. And so then we learned chapter 11 about the two witnesses that have been there all along. We're just learning about them now, but saying that those guys have been there the whole time. And now we're learning about three of the main characters of the entire Bible. And just hearing their stories of who they are and where they came from. And the picture that this is the story of the whole Bible. And kind of puts into explaining what's going to happen now. We go on after that for the rest of the book of Revelation. So first I'm just going to explain what happens in Revelation chapter 12, and then I will explain who the three characters are. So what happens is a woman who's clothed with the sun, and she has the moon at her feet, and she has a garland around her head made out of stars. So this is this woman. And then there's a great dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns. And he swings his tail, and 1/3 of the stars fall to the earth. So then the woman gives birth to a son, and he is going to rule all of the nations. But the dragon wants to kill the son, so he's waiting for him to be born. But as soon as baby is born, he is taken taken up into heaven. So the woman ends up running to a wilderness where she's kept safe. There's a little place prepared for her. And then there's a war that breaks out in heaven. And the dragon and his angels are cast out of heaven. So the dragon then persecutes the woman who gave birth, and then 2 wings from a great eagle come and scoop up the woman and bring her to the prepared place in the wilderness where she is safe. So the dragon then sends a flood to try to go and kill this woman. But the earth opens up and swallows the flood. So then the dragon realizes, I cannot kill this woman. She is being protected. So he then turns his rage on descendants of the woman and on anyone who follows Jesus Christ. So get that? There's a woman, and there's a woman, and there's a dragon, and there's a child, right? So the woman is about to give birth. The dragon comes, tries to kill the baby, this little boy. The little boy ascends up into heaven. The woman, the dragon then continues to fight against the woman. There's a war in heaven. The woman is then taken to a special place. The dragon tries to kill her with a flood. The earth opens up, swallows the flood, and he realizes, I can't kill her, so then he turns on her descendants. So that is what happens. Now I'm going to explain a little bit about these characters. So first of all, we have the woman. So the woman is the nation of Israel. I gave a whole long list of there's so many long commentaries on this, but I believe this is the woman is the nation of Israel, and the child is Jesus. And this makes sense because one of the main reasons why I believe that the woman is the nation of Israel, because the woman gives birth to the child. Some people say the woman is the church. Let me explain. The church did not give birth to Jesus. Okay, Jesus is a Jew. He came from the nation of Israel. So I don't see at all how you could possibly get church out of the woman. But the nation of Israel gave birth to Jesus. So it talks then about Jesus. He's pictured as a child, which shows his incarnation. And then he ascends into heaven, but also says he will rule a nation. So it talks there about his return. So you see the information there about Jesus. Then we have the dragon. So the dragon is Satan, and he is extremely evil. Obviously, he's Satan. And he tricks the whole world. And we can see here he's really powerful because he has 7 heads. We also see that he's really smart. So that's just kind of why it's pictured. We can also see that this reverts back to what we saw in Daniel when we studied Daniel. All right, so we're going to talk here about things that happened to the dragon. And as we look at the things that happened to the dragon, then we can see the timeline really from beginning of time until today. So the first thing we see is that his tail takes 1/3 of the stars. So when we learn a little bit about Satan in the book of Isaiah, we learn that he's the father of all lies and that he wanted to be God. He wanted to take God's place, and he tried to overthrow God, and that he was cast out of heaven. He didn't win that war, obviously, and that's been his goal really from the beginning, from that war, to take over God. Like he wants to be worshipped instead of God being worshipped. So when he had that battle with God and tried to overthrow God, 1/3 of the angels followed him. So when it says stars here, it is talking about angels. We can see lots of times through the Bible that stars are used as an example of angels. So 1/3 of the stars followed him, 1/3 of the angels followed him, and those became demons. So those are the demons that we have today, are fallen angels. So these are all terms that you hear, right? We hear fallen angels, we hear demons. Jesus speaks of Satan and his angels. So that is what that is. So the first thing we learn about the dragon is that his tail took 1/3 of the angels. So that is when Satan fell from, when he lost the war, fell from heaven, and when when angels became demons. So then the next thing we see in our timeline of Satan is that he tries to kill Jesus as soon as he is born. So we know that that happened because when Jesus was born, King Herod killed all of the babies. They were trying to kill Jesus. That was Satan trying to kill Jesus. He's also, if you look through history, he's tried to kill Israel from the very beginning. And in trying to kill Israel, that's what he was trying to do, was trying to stop Jesus from being born. We can see that all the way through the Old Testament, with all the different countries that come against Israel, that is Satan trying to destroy Jesus before he's even born and trying to kill him, trying to make sure that he isn't able to be born because the nation of Israel is gone. So then we see that when Jesus died on the cross, that Satan has lost. He cannot win. But we also see that he continues to strive and to fight against the nation of Israel. And we see that there's a war in heaven. And so in the end time, so this is happening. So we've had beginning of time when he's cast out of heaven. We've had during the Bible time when he has gone against Israel in the Old Testament and tried to get rid of Israel so Jesus couldn't be born. Then we see that when Jesus is born, he tried to kill Jesus then. And so then we see now we're going to the future. Remember, it's all a timeline. So now we're in the future, and in the future there's going to be a battle in heaven. And the battle will be specifically Michael and who's going to fight with him. Now Michael, remember, is the guardian, is the angel who's the guardian of the nation of Israel. So it still gets down to Satan versus Israel. So there's a fight in heaven, and at this point Satan is cast out and his angels are cast out, and they cannot be in heaven at all anymore. They can't. They're barred forever. So it says here, so the great dragon was cast, that serpent of old, called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was cast to the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So that's what happens after that war. So then he goes hardcore after the nation of Israel, trying to kill them, and that's going to happen at about the 3.5 point part in the tribulation. And there's a place that God has prepared for them in the wilderness. And the Jewish people who go there, who are able to get there, Satan or the Antichrist is not going to be able to kill them. So Satan is going to try. Now it says here a flood. So does that mean that Satan is going to send an actual flood, or is it a flood of armies? We don't know, because it's mostly symbolic in this chapter. So it's probably, the flood is probably meant to be a symbolic flood. So it'll probably be like armies that will come after them. But we know that the earth will open and swallow that up. So whether it swallows up a flood that Satan sends, or if it swallows up a whole army that's coming after them. But what happens is Satan realizes, yeah, I'm not going to be able to kill them. So he turns on the descendants of the woman. So any Israelites or any Jewish people who didn't leave and didn't go to that part of the wilderness have been prepared, and also anyone who has become a follower of Jesus Christ. So the church, I believe, and I talked about that earlier, has been raptured and is not here at this point, but there are people who are going to become followers of Jesus Christ after hearing the witnesses, the two witnesses who were speaking, and also just from probably seeing all the things that are happening. So there are people who will be following Jesus Christ. He's going to turn on them. One of the things to realize is that Satan goes out of his way to turn the entire world against Israel. We see that here in Revelation chapter 12, but we can see that also in other parts of the Bible, where it says that the whole world will be turned against the nation of Israel. And we see that already happening today. We see that when they're always trying to, like, Israel is such, if you look at the map and see how little Israel is, it's such a tiny, tiny country. And yet everyone's trying to always take parts of it away and give it to the Arab countries, even though there are so many Arab countries and they're all ginormous. So if you look at it and you think, how can anyone think this is a good idea? And the only way you can see it is that Satan. Satan is the one who's doing that. And he's turning the hearts of people against Israel. And unfortunately, I see this happening in the church. And that is really sad and really scary. And I've seen people who are Christians, and they'll say things like, I love the Jewish people, I just don't like Israel. I don't think Israel has the right to exist, but I love Jewish people. That is the dumbest thing ever. And anyone who says that is extremely anti-Semitic, and you need to stay away from them, because I guarantee they have bad theology. You cannot say you hate the nation of Israel and you don't think it has the right to exist and have good theology. That's impossible. So stay away from anyone who has that teaching. And if that teaching is in your church, you need to get out like yesterday. Leave immediately. You cannot be attending a church that would preach the nation of Israel doesn't have the right to exist. All right, this is a little side note because it's something I absolutely despise. I hate when I see anyone who is against Israel, but I really hate it when I see people who claim to be Christians who are against Israel. And I've actually personally in my life cut ties with people. Friends who believe that and people I was in ministry with. I will not associate with people who believe Israel doesn't have the right to exist. All right, there's chapter 12. So jump in and read it. Remember, we have the three characters. We have the woman who is Israel. We have the son who is Jesus. And then we have the dragon who is Satan. And remember, we are looking at the dragon from the beginning of time, even before Adam and Eve, all the way till in the future, which hasn't happened yet. Okay, chapter 12 is difficult, but I know that you can do it. Go ahead, jump in, read it, and I'll see you tomorrow when we jump into chapter 13. I'm Lorelee Siemens, and that was the Bible study.